let's just try and be as satiated as possible with these 2 hours we have and make the best use of this time. So Maharaj is going to speak on a very interesting and a very important topic, and that topic is 10 principles of determination. So we're all looking for determination. One of the best examples in Srimad Bhagavatam is Dhruv Maharaj, and it's great to follow in his footsteps. And how to develop that determination, Maharaj will cover. So today is the day, if you have not yet taken out your notebooks, reflection books, today is the day to take it out, make those notes, and try and apply these principles in our life and make the best use of that. So thank you, Maharaj, for being with us once again. We are very happy to have you both with us. And we once again welcome you back at Govardhan Eco Village. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Where's Sachi?
Sachi? They were locked in the room. She's just coming, Maharaj.
Some doors aren't here because they're locked in their room.
We got an instrument here.
Hare Krishna. Can everyone see? Try to see some of you back there. If you can move forward, if there isn't, if it's not inconvenient and you can move forward, please do.
Well, Jaya Radha.
That's nice. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Do we have a cartolist, certified cartolist in the house? Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Puranandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Manachari. Jamuna Tira Manachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Shri Harinam Amantra Ki, Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki, Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Try it again. Thank you. I offer my obeisances first to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the epitome of determination in carrying out the orders of his spiritual master. He wrote about his inspiration after reading the verse, Vyavasayatmaka Bhudir Ekeha Kurunandana. And the commentary on this verse by our Acharya says that true determination means to fix one's mind on the order of the spiritual master and to carry it out. And I think in history there's never been one more exemplary in doing that. And I offer my respectful obeisances to all of you who have assembled here because you are following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and the great Acharyas, and therefore your determination is admirable and laudable. Vancha kalpadabhishcha kripasindabhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. The topic today is 10 principles to develop determination. Let's think first about the word determination. It has the word terminus in it. And that means essentially that one can finish what one starts. If you've ever started to read a book and then found that you only got to the second chapter, or if you had an idea to write in your notebook every day for the year, but that you found, or you've found in your drawer several, maybe 6, 7, or 8, 5 to 7 notebooks that were a quarter filled because you started and then you stopped. Then maybe you felt frustrated and thought, why couldn't I finish? But to speak of finishing devotional practices. Many people take vows and then later on they give them up. It's practically commonplace. In fact, those who do follow vows stand out because people say, how is it they're still doing it? And Prabhupada told us once, don't be amazed at who stops following their vows, be amazed at who does, because it's far more extraordinary. And those who do have the determination to continue and at least put together one lifetime in full dedication to Krishna are notable. So let's talk about some of the principles of determination today. And my intention is, by mentioning these principles, that you can take them with you, and many of them are very practical. And you can enact them yourself, especially if you make a note or listen to this later, and go through the 10 and find out how you can execute each one of them. I guarantee you'll find an increase in the determination in your life. And maybe other benefits will come from this as well. So as a preface to expressing how to develop determination, I'll start with the precursors, how to prepare the field to enact these 10 that I'm going to mention today. And first is, you have to make a decision. Because we're tatasta, which means we can go either way on anything. That's our nature. As an energy of the Lord, we're called marginal. And that means on a general, grand scale, we could decide to live in the internal energy or the external energy. And apparently somewhere along the line we made a decision to live in the external energy. Whoops. So from day to day, from moment to moment, we as marginal living entities have decisions to make. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. You noticed I was able to catch this with my neck. Therefore, coming to a decision about one's direction is vital. We may think, well, it's a foregone conclusion. Is it? Did you really decide? Or are you going along by momentum? Some people are carried by cultural momentum. We find with young people, they're born into a family of devotees. Everyone else is chanting around them. Before they're born, when they pop out, everyone's going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And by the time they're 14, they start thinking, like, was this my idea or somebody else's idea? They have to decide. And we find that those souls who come into the movement at a certain point, they have to decide themselves. It's up to them. They're marginal. They have decision-making capacity, so they have to make a decision. Every day, we also have to make a decision. Are we going to wake up? Have you ever, the night before you were to wake up in the morning, you equivocated, and then because you equivocated when the time came to wake up, you didn't wake up because you didn't decide. And about chanting rounds. You have to make a decision. I'm going to chant rounds, and I'm going to be attentive. That's a decision to make. We have to cut somewhere and make this part unavailable, and this part is what I'm going to do. So in making decisions, one may say, before we even get into determination, how is it that one makes a decision? That's important because there are those who have a hard time making decisions. They're presented with various options and then they're not sure. And they don't make any decision, which also turns out to be consequential. Not making a decision, then whoever else is involved will just go ahead with their idea. And we therefore can be helped by having a clear idea about how to best make decisions. So in the research I've done on decision making and by personal experience, I've found that many times decisions are hard to make because we don't have enough information. And in writing, which I find is it's a metaphor for life, sometimes I'll be working on revising a paragraph and I'll come to a sentence and I just can't get it to fit. I can't get it to work one way or another. Fortunately, I've had good editors throughout my life, and then they say to me, such and such, just remove the sentence and get on with your life. And what a relief that is. You just use the most invaluable tool ever invented by man, and that is the undo button or the delete. You just, it's gone. Or was, as one of my editors used to say, just nuke it. And a more modern metaphor. Sorry, brought it up. So one way that we may have a hard time making a decision about something is we don't have enough information. So if someone brings you a conundrum, a problem to solve, a decision to make, and you're not sure, it's likely that you don't have enough information. So ask for more. What does it mean? What are the implications? One way to do this is make a list. What are the pros and cons of this decision I'm going to make? Benjamin Franklin, famous for his wit and his progressiveness in life and his ideas that he presented for many people to follow. Said the simplest way is to draw a line down the middle of a paper, and one side put pros, the other one put cons, and just list them all, because then you're engaged in a more clear thought process. Things don't always come ready-made, so get more information, then list the pros and cons, then set a deadline for making the decision. Because justice delayed is justice denied, and a decision delayed is a decision not made. So once you set something on the calendar and you say by this date or by today or in 10 minutes I'm going to make the decision, then there's forced efficiency, which means that you have a sense of I have to act. And that's important in making a decision, because if you got all the information you possibly could, you've listed the pros and cons, then you set the time and you made the decision, well, you did the best you could. And if it happens to be mistaken, you can always correct it later. And once you decide, commit to your choice. Don't equivocate and go back and forth. Just stick with it. That's about making a strong decision. And that's important for developing determination, because you have to decide you're going to do something. Krishna says, Sarvadharman parityaja. You finish my sentences for me. Thank you. Krishna gives an offer. He says, surrender to me. I'll protect you. Don't worry. Don't hesitate. Don't give it another thought. And then you could possibly decide. You just say, I've decided. I'm going to surrender to Krishna. So you have to make a firm commitment. Say, I'm doing this. That's why people, well, it's not why, but it's enacted in initiation vows. I mean, in initiation vows, people are astounded to watch that somebody's actually going to sit down and make a public proclamation that they're going to follow certain vows and that they're making a commitment. Weddings are popular too, aren't they? Say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, especially at Bhaktivedanta Manor. And no, they're popular everywhere. People want to see, are these two people going to come together and make a commitment? And at least traditionally, wedding vows are fairly stringent. I stick with you, sickness and health, good times or bad times. These are pronounced ahead of time and say, do you agree? Yeah, I do. That's necessary to make a commitment. People are also astounded by that. You mean you're really going to do this? What's the alternative? Just stay uncommitted and float. If you want to get anywhere in life, if you want to buy a house or a car or get a pet or not get a pet, you have to make a decision. And that's very important. So commit to your choice. The next, and this is still in the preparatory stages for determination. Everyone with me so far?
Yes.
Everybody happy?
Yes.
Everybody have enough oxygen?
Yes.
Did you get enough sleep?
Yes.
Really? Okay. You have to have an emotional why. Why am I doing this? Because that's what drives the world. And let me give you some examples of those who had an emotional why in a devotional context. And we call this attitude. You have to have an attitude. Attitude is the mindset you have that drives you in a certain direction. And in the Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada writes, in essence, that when it comes to devotional service and advancement in devotional service, attitude is everything. This chair just went down without me asking anything of them. Okay. Its warranty ran out just now. Devahuti. Who knows Devahuti? Okay. Who's her son? If you said Kapila, give yourself 20 points. And you're in the running for this morning's challenge. What was Devahuti's attitude? And why was she so successful in asking her son, who happened to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, important questions? What was her attitude?
Submissive.
Submissive. Anybody else who knows that chapter well? What would you, inquisitive? These are all very generic. Here's what her attitude was. I'm sick and tired of my senses abusing me. That's her approach to her son, her guru. She said, I'm done. I'm sick and tired of being tricked by my senses again and again and again. So I'm not doing it anymore. I'm all in. I'm listening. Whatever you tell me, I'm going to do. That's an attitude. Dhruva, what would you say his attitude was? Everyone knows Dhruva? What's his attitude? Material desire? Angry, determination. Determination, what we're talking about?
He really wanted it.
Okay, none of those work for me. They're all generic. Here's his attitude. I'll show them. My mother used to say this to me all the time. Never underestimate the power of "I'll show them." You know, someone says, you're not on the basketball team. Famous case of this, Michael Jordan. He got cut from his high school team. Well, who knows what drove him inside, but he ended up being pretty good at basketball. And when somebody says you can't do something, and then you say to yourself with hot tears in your eyes, I'm going to show those guys. That's Dhruva. That's an attitude. Bharat Maharaj, remember what happened to him? What happened? He went to the forest to meditate, gave up everything, young man, billionaire, king, more than a billionaire, and gave up family for the sake of spiritual emancipation, and then he blew it. At the last minute, he got attached to a deer, took birth as a deer in the next life. What became his attitude? I know I shot all the other ones down, so now you're afraid to say anything. Go ahead. I'll be nicer from now on. Go ahead. I'm not making that mistake again. As I put it here, if I ever get out of this one. Have you ever been in that situation? I'll give you an example of a famous personality who I heard in an interview. His name, I think he's English. His name is Cat Stevens. And he was a musician in the 60s and 70s who became very famous and wealthy. He had his own home at Malibu Beach in California. Best real estate you can get. Had his own private beach and went out one day for a little swim in the ocean, very calm day. And as he was wading out, he realized that he was being carried a little further from the shore than he wanted to be. And then he thought, no problem, I'll go back in. Then he realized there was a current carrying him out to the ocean. And as hard as he swam against it, the more he was being carried out. And he realized in that moment that this is my whole life going in front of my eyes. So-called fame, all the wealth I have, the way I've worked my way into this position. He says, it's all useless now because I'm going to drown. And what are the papers going to say? And I'll just be another third-page article somewhere. And that's when it came into his heart, and it never had before, that I'll pray to God. So he said in the interview that time he put a prayer out to whomever. He didn't know who God was, and he just said, if you get me out of this one, I'll give you the rest of my life. And he said about a minute later, this little wave came tooling in, and it was just enough to pick him up and pull him all the way back into the beach where he could get his feet on the ground. And when he walked out into the sunshine and on the dry sand, he said, that's it. So this mood of, if you can get me out of this one, my Lord, I'll just dedicate the rest of my life. That's an attitude. Prahlad Maharaj, what was his main attitude? Why are you smiling? Specifically, he said, I'm grateful to my guru. He had so much gratitude to his guru. Even Lord Nrsimha was there personally in front of him, and he was saying, how can I leave my guru? I offer my obeisance to my guru. Yes, my Lord, you're there, but my guru. That's an attitude. Gajendra, This is an attitude expressed in 3 words. Remember Gajendra? What was his predicament? His predicament was he had a crocodile on his leg. Does anybody here have a crocodile on his or her leg? Say yes. Yeah, we all do. And when we come to realize that, we can take up the same attitude that Gajendra had. What was his attitude? 3 words. First one, yes. Huh? Let go. What? Do let go. Okay, when that didn't work, then after do let go, it didn't work, then what 3 words did he say? To the sky, to the Lord, huh? I fully surrender, okay. I need help. Epitomize, that's where he said, I need help. Anybody here need help?
Yes.
But not that much, right? You've got it like 98%, maybe 2% from Krishna. No, but if you get 100% Krishna, crocodile, leg, finished, no help, please help, you're the only one. That's an attitude that engenders determination. How about Brahma? What's Brahma's job? In creation, he's got to do a little bit of management too, right? Because when the universe, for instance, let's just say one of the planets falls out of its orbit because somebody mined too much gold out of it, falls into the Garbhodak ocean, then what does he do?
Praise.
He prays, and his mood is, Krishna, I'll leave this to you. He starts praying, and then what happens? Krishna came out of his nose. Varaha, he was meditating and thinking, how in the world am I going to deal with this? And then Varaha came out of his nose. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do. And he's flying around the universe, and all the sages are cheering. And so, Krishna, only you can solve this problem. That's another attitude. These are attitudes, devotional attitudes, that give us an emotional why. You got to have that deep in your heart that never again, or I need help, or I'm so grateful to my guru, I have to give every ounce of my energy back. These are all attitudes. So you got to have an attitude. It can't be nondescript, or maybe I'm on a National Geographic vacation this lifetime. No, it's got to be all in, powerful mood. That leads to one honing one's determination, so it becomes so powerful that it's called Dridhavrata, that you make this solemn vow, and that's your only goal in life, is to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay so far? Okay. So let's talk about, there's one more prerequisite for determination. And that is to abandon mistaken unchangeability. That's an invented phrase. But the point is this, and it's also called cognitive bias. In other words, I have a certain mindset, and I'm determined to keep it. I won't change it. And the mindset that one might develop is as follows. That I am where I am, I'm stuck, and there's really, for me, no way I can change it. I can't improve. If you've ever approached something in that mood, and you said, well, it's not possible for me, then the next thing that you would do is make a long list of excuses why you can't do it, right? Say yes. So there's an antidote to that, and that is to assume that it can be done. And the Vedanta Sutra says, this is Srila Vyasadeva giving us a full sutra on this point, that you have to assume that you can come to the highest position of spiritual life. Why do you have to assume that? Because the Shastras are talking to whom? Say us. Or to say me. They're talking to me, right? And what do they say? They say, come to the highest position. emancipate yourself from the material world, but more importantly, develop Krishna prema. Someone may say, yeah, but to do that, I have to go past anartha nivritti. To do that, I have to come to ruchi. To do that, I have to come to asakti. And who can do that? It's rarely achieved. Well, Srila Vyasadeva says, you have to assume that you can do it because the Shastra said you can do it. And unless you have that, it's very hard to be determined, because then you'll say, well, everybody else can do it, but not me. 6 Goswamis can do it, or there's only one pure devotee, Prabhupada. Everyone else, no possibility. So mistaken unchangeability means I can't change. That's a mistake. Cognitive bias, thinking I'm stuck the way I am, I can't improve, I can't make steps to improve myself. So you have to have this, right, Shachi? Say yes. Okay. Here's the 10. But before I do you have any comments on the preamble, the setting the stage for developing determination once and for all? Does anybody remember what I said? Yes. We have to have an emotional why. Give her the mic, if you don't mind. I'll repeat it until you get this second. Okay. You have to have an emotional why.
Emotional why.
Yes.
So having the right attitude and devotional service. And examples that were given
You're going to go do them all, right? Just do one and then we'll pass it around.
Okay.
Emotional why? Anything you want to say about that? Attitude?
Yeah. So having the right attitude. So I'm thinking, what we just said, Mara, so assume it can be done.
Yeah.
And the Shastras, we have to have trust in the Shastras. If the Shastras say that we can do it, you know, we're living in the Shastras with everything, all the scriptures, everything that says in there, but also we have to take into account that we can do it because that's also mentioned in the Shastras.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. Whenever anybody makes a point and you'd like to acknowledge it, which is a good idea in a group like this because it keeps everybody connected, you can say Hari Hari. Would you like to try it? No, that's not how you do it. The way you did it is not how you do it. You go like this. Hare, Hare. Hare. That's not even how you do it. 1, 2, 3. Hare, Hare. Okay? Thank you. A couple more points about the precursor. You two fight it out amongst yourselves.
Set a deadline to make a decision.
Set a deadline to make a decision. It's forced efficiency. Because as soon as you make a deadline and say, what date am I going to make my decision, then you feel you avoid procrastination. There was another phrase I had for it, but there's a way in which you set the commitment. Yes?
So first is to make the right decision. So do the pros and cons, make a list, and then come to a decision. And then work on it.
Don't make a decision until you have all the information. Because how many times have you made a quick decision without the information, you weren't sure, and then you had to go back and change it. So I did say you could change it later, but at least do your due diligence ahead of time. But when somebody brings you a proposition and you can't decide, it's not your fault. You just haven't gotten enough information and given yourself the time to decide. So give yourself enough information, decide the pros and cons, set a reasonable time to execute, and then you're all set for making a good decision. We'll take one more. Yes. 1, 2.
Can I ask a question, Maharaj?
Oh yeah.
So, you know, the attitude of Dhruva Maharaj, I'll show you. It sounds like it's tinged with, you know, a little bit of envy or maybe jealousy. So what will be the right application when we want to develop that attitude?
Well, I'm not making any judgment on Dhruva Maharaj. I'm just saying that he's an example in the Shastra for one who attained success. And he started off with what the Acharyas say as a desire for wealth. he wanted wealth. But why did he want wealth? He wanted to show up his relatives. And he changed his attitude later. Our application without envy would be to say, okay, my senses tell me I can't do this. My mind says that I can't control my mind. My tongue says that you're never going to be able to control me. And if you develop an attitude, I'll show them that I can do it because I'm above the senses. And I'm going to use my attitude that I'm going to show my tongue. Or maybe somebody else told you that you're fat. It's like, okay, I'm going to show them that I can control my tongue so I become healthy. And you can use that as a leverage for your own determination to practice to get more deeply into your discipline. The goal in this case is to come to a point of being one-minded, focused. Then there was one last one. Yes, you had your hand up? Please.
Haribol Maharaj. The last one is commit to choice. Once you have made the decision with all the information that you've got and working out through the process of pros and cons.
Yeah, it's helpful, isn't it?
In the right attitude.
Yes, you have to think about it and decide what's in it for me, what's the advantage or what's the disadvantage. Think about it carefully. Okay, good. So now let's try number one, shall we?
Yes.
But first let's stand up for a second and reach to see if you can touch the fan above you as high as you can. And we're going to say one word, but we're going to stretch it out with every syllable in it. And it's Gauranga, so let's try. Gauranga. Okay, you can sit down. Here's number one. Work from your natural strength. It's very important to have determination because if you take on more than you can handle with your natural strength, which means your adhikari, what you're qualified to do right now, then you may feel overwhelmed. And therefore, realizing your personal capacity for something and act according to that will give you success. I'll give you an example, like learning to play an instrument. If you approach an instrument, which one would you like to talk about? Can I have Mridanga or harmonium? Harmonium, Mridanga. Okay, so Mridanga. Let's say you approach a Mridanga and you've heard somebody play the Mridanga and they're really good at it. And then you sit down after your first lesson and you've been given an exercise to play on the Mridanga that's very simple, called Teraketa. Every student learns it as his or her first rudiment to play Teraketa. Correct? You're all smiling. It means you've got Teraketa. So Teraketa, and then you think, no, I'm going to play like that guy who's got the fancy kurta, little beard, and they really are, they've played more notes per minute than anybody's ever heard before in Mridanga, in a kirtan in their life. And you think, no, I want to play like that. And then you come into the kirtan, you'll be disturbance because you haven't done your Teraketa. So if you start with Teraketa, as many Mridanga teachers will say, go slow so that later you can go fast. And they'll tell a story, many of the Mridanga teachers, about a young boy who came to learn from his teacher and got the first lesson of Teraketa, and the teacher said, when you've perfected that, you come back to me. And he didn't come back for 20 years because the student stayed home and he said, I don't think it's perfect yet. He kept playing Teraketa for hours a day. And when he came back and he showed his teacher was old by then and said, where have you been? He said, I didn't perfect my Teraketa. And he said, let's hear it. And he had become so focused on that one rudimentary that within a few days he became proficient at everything else. So we start with what we can handle, or where we are now. Start with your teraketa and get really good at it, get expert at it. Work from your natural strength. There's a few points about this made in the Shastra, and I'll read to you if you're open to that.
Yes.
Okay? Settled. This is from Srila Prabhupada's purport in the 8th canto, 2nd chapter, regarding Gajendra. Thereafter, because of being pulled into the water and fighting for many long years, the elephant became diminished in his mental, physical, and sensual strength. The crocodile, on the contrary, being an animal of the water, increased in enthusiasm, physical strength, and sensual power. And an excerpt, that was the verse. Here's an excerpt from the purport. The soldiers in this Krishna consciousness movement must always possess physical strength, enthusiasm, and sensual power. To keep themselves fit, they must therefore place themselves in a normal condition of life. What constitutes a normal condition will not be the same for everyone. And therefore, there are divisions of Varnashram, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grahastha, and Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Furthermore, in the Transcendental Diary about Prabhupada, written by Harisari Prabhu, he tells of a list that Prabhupada made that one should be attentive to, and here's what he put. Number 1, health. Number 2, sadhana. Number 3, service. Number 4, reading. And he also told Satsvarup Maharaj, and this is Satsvarup Maharaj's notation, that when Satsvarup Maharaj as a sannyasi wanted to get a mobile home so he could travel and preach, some people were saying, oh no, you got to walk barefoot across the country. And mobile home will never do for a sannyasi. He went and asked Prabhupada, and Prabhupada wrote back to him. He wrote to him and he said, keep yourself comfortable so that you can serve nicely. That doesn't mean be lazy. It doesn't mean being extravagant. It means what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, yukta hara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu, yukta swapna vabodasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. Be balanced in your life. And take what you need so that you can have, as Prabhupada writes here, sensual strength. You have to have physical strength. Do you remember the other two? Second one was enthusiasm. And the third one is sensual power. So these are elements of the first one, which is to work from your natural strength. Make sure that you're in a position where you can be strong, sensually, physically, and you're able to apply yourself with full enthusiasm. Okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Then say Hari Hari.
Hari Hari.
Okay. You ready for number 2, or am I going too fast?
Ready.
Okay, number 2 is choose deliberate practice over luck. So luck means that, okay, let me give you an example of luck. I had, and still have, a sibling who used to preface everything he said about his life with, if I ever win the lottery, then I, ... If I win the lottery, then I'll do this, this, and that. In my economics class, the teacher gave me an invaluable phrase, said, the lottery is a tax on the stupid. It's a tax by the government. They make billions of dollars off that, and some person earns a tiny fraction of it over time. It's luck. Or there's the, talking in financial terms, of someone who learns how to invest and then methodically invests, has a philosophy, sticks to it over many decades, and becomes, as that famous book talks about, the millionaire next door. It's two different approaches to life. One is that I'll find out what the recipe is and I'll follow it carefully. It applies to anything in our lives. And that is that we have to choose a deliberate practice, something that's already been studied, proven, and we stick to it, and don't think it's just going to come by luck. You know, sometimes people get an honorary degree. Can you think of anybody that's gotten an honorary degree, like a PhD? Steve Jobs got one? Who else? Okay, forget him for now. Who else? Richard Branson got an honorary degree. Only rich people get them? Aren't there some nice people or smart people? Oh, Nelson Mandela got an honorary degree. Oftentimes universities, these are just examples, but universities will often give an honorary degree, and Prabhupada brings this up in a lecture. And then he says, don't go for the honorary degree. Do the work. Do all your courses, get A's, pass the courses, come to the top. That's deliberate work rather than waiting for luck. Just, I'm going to wait around and maybe Krishna will stop by and pick me up. In some sense, we have that idea, but we have to do, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, work in such a way that Krishna will want to see you. They'll want to come pick you up. So don't depend on luck. Find out what the recipe is and use the recipe for success. Are you ready for number 3?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not done with 2, so you'll have to be patient. In order to do deliberate practice, remember the word deliberate?
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
It has the word Libra in it. Libra, as you know from astrology, what's the sign? It's a pan scale. It's got 2 sides to it. And pan scale means you weigh things out. Some things are more weighty than other things. Some things are more important than other things. True or false?
Yes.
I said true or false, not yes. Okay. So, true. So don't major in minor things. There's a minor thing, you put all your attention into it, you're wasting your energy. And so deliberation means find out which is the most important thing and then give your attention to that. And that's called what? Deliberation. In order to be deliberate, do you know how to spell it?
Yes.
Let's hear it. And how do you spell deliberate? The answer is the same. It's the same word. You just change it into a verb. So you deliberate to be deliberate. And so when you deliberate about what's most important in your life, then you can put your attention to that. And this is choose deliberate practice. So figure out which practices are most important. I'll give you an example. Example is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave 64 items of devotional service. Now out of those 64, which is more important? One of the items of devotional service is ringing the bell when you come into the temple, and the other one is chanting Hare Krishna, which is more weighty?
Chanting Hare Krishna.
Ringing the bell?
Chanting Hare Krishna.
No, it's not ringing the bell, no. But chanting Hare Krishna. Yes, that's correct. And he lists out of the 64, 5 which are the weightiest of all. He says chanting Hare Krishna, associating with devotees, worshipping the deities, living in a holy place, and
reading Srimad
worshipping the deity, and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of like-minded devotees. So he said out of the 64, these 5 are weightier than all the other ones. So that's called deliberation. When you hear that and say, okay, how am I going to organize my life since I only have a limited amount of time? I'm going to give my attention to these 5 because they come first. They're the most important. And out of those 5, can you deliberate more and say which is the most important out of the 5?
Chanting Hare Krishna.
Yeah. That's deliberation. So now you're able to be determined because you have a clear idea of what to do. And that means choose deliberate practice over luck. Don't just do anything and be idle and then hope that you get an honorary degree. Be very clear. Now, in practice, there are 3 specific elements that drive practice in a very positive way. One is the concept of numerical strength. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Numerical strength is indicated in the song by Srinivasacharya when he's talking about the 6 Goswamis who set the pace for how to do devotional service. He said, Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gananatibi, means that Sankhya means to count. And so Sankhya Purvaka means that you set a number for yourself every day. Your practice has to be Sankhya. You have to count it. How many people here have a bead bag? How many people here have a bead bag with no counter beads? See me afterwards. We've got to get you counter beads. If you don't have counter beads, then you may make a mistake and not chant the prescribed number of rounds that you're going to chant. So Sankhya means, yeah, I have beads, I'm chanting. I mean, beads in themselves have 108, right? They're not random. You don't pick them up at the bead wallet and it said, how many are on here? 64 or 36 or there's 107. No, he said, I want 108. Why? Because there's Sankhya Purvaka. Your practice, determined practice means you have a number, you keep to it. Next is, it's helpful in a deliberate practice to teach what you know, because then it solidifies what you know. And the third aspect of it is to associate those with those who are doing deliberate practice. Then you'll be able to do it deliberately also. Number 3. What's number 1?
Work from natural strength.
Work from your natural strength. Number 2?
Choose deliberate practice over luck.
Choose deliberate practice over luck. And number 3 is avoid distractions. Avoid distractions. Everybody say it.
Avoid distractions.
So it's important to do an inventory of which distractions you might have in your life. Can anybody, let's name 3. Somebody name a distracting element in your life. Yes, she's holding up her phone. Okay, phone is well known nowadays for being addictive and also being a major distractor. And so if you become aware of it and you write it down and then you start to regulate how much you use your phone and why you use your phone, then that's one way to avoid distraction. What's another distractor? Work? Okay. If there are parts of your work which can distract, then you have to make a note of that. Number 3? Yes? TV, yeah. There's a cure for that. I learned a long time ago. Unplug it first though, and then get from your gardening shed. You really do this. Get those clippers, fairly heavy duty ones, unplug first. Then you cut the cord. And just watch how the family reacts. When everyone comes in and they look and they see, TV doesn't go on, their eyes trace it up and they'll see the little plug is severed from the cord. There'll be an initial reaction where people will say, what the? And then you have a little feast ready for everybody. Make some kitri, little achar, lemon, lime's better, and maybe a papadum. And you sit everybody down and say, let's have a normal talk like human beings before TV existed. Because ours doesn't exist now either. Because good luck getting it to work without the cord. So do cut the cord. And this is if you find a major distractor, if you want to be determined, eliminate it from your life. And see how your life changes. Don't live a predictable, boring life. Do stuff incrementally that will bring you to this point of full focus on Krishna. Okay?
Yes.
So everybody say yes.
Yes.
That means you're going to cut the cord. Okay. Just so you know. Once you identify, and this is a homework, serious homework, you have to do this. Make a list of all the distractors in your life. Make a list. And then make yourself another list called the not to do list. If you've ever made a to-do list, it looks very similar, only it says not in front of the to-do. Not to do. Everyone say not to do.
Not to do.
So make a not to do list, and then you become determined because you know what you're trying to avoid. If you just give in to addiction again and again and again, and you're not clear about what you're trying to overcome, then the mind will take advantage. It'll just get into a settled pattern of doing the same thing where it gets a little reward of some chemicals coming into the brain. But if you decide on a higher path and you say, I'm going to eliminate certain kinds of distractions, and your life then moves above the plateau that generally most people camp out on. Most people camp on a plateau. And it's because of the TV or other kinds of distractions that they allow to stay in their home or in their brains, in their houses. So that's number 3, avoid distractions. So we have number 1. Work with me, people. Number 1.
Work from your natural strength.
Number 2.
Choose deliberate practice over love.
Number 3.
Avoid distractions.
Correct. 20 points to everybody. Number 4 is narrow your choices. Narrow your choices. There's a book called The Paradox of Choice, and it's about the psychological phenomena that takes place in modern society where we have too many choices. You want to buy a toilet? You know how many kinds there are? In the old days, there was a hole in the ground. Good luck. Even when we first went to Mayapur, all the brahmacharis, there was just a screen in the middle of the field and a big hole. It's like, okay, go in, you're next. That's it. No choice to make. And nowadays, if you want to buy some nail clippers, there's supersonic ones that work by sound vibration. Not really, I'm just making it up. But everything requires a cognitive overload. They're just trying to decide things. So people who are progressive, they narrow their choices. That's why monks shave their heads. You know how long it takes to get your hair right? How long does it take to get your hair right?
5 seconds.
There's 5 seconds? Okay. The shorter it is, yeah, I mean, it takes me time too because I have to shave my head, but everything takes, time. So like Steve Jobs, not that he's the paragon of virtue or anything like that, but he was efficient. He wore the same outfit every day. Like, I'm sure he had a few sets, but there was jeans. There was jeans and a black turtleneck. That was it. And some tennis shoes. And that way you didn't have to think about it. So that's why monks, they wear the same thing, same color, style in, style out. It's the same style all the time, Hare Krishna style, right? So I'm not saying everyone should be dull and look the same and everything, but I'm saying, using this only as an example, if you have too many choices and we go into all the varieties, combinations, and permutations, then we lose this sense of focus on what's most important. So avoid distractions and then narrow your choices. So this brings us to a point of concentration. And it's compared in the Srimad Bhagavatam to be like the concentration of a sun ray. Tivrena bhakti yogena. When your bhakti is focused, then it has effect immediately. You catch fire. And that means you've narrowed your choices, you've eliminated distractions, and then you can be extremely attentive to what's most important. And here's one of the ways to narrow your choices. And that is to every day write down in advance a clear goal for the day or a clear plan for the day. Even if it's simple, it's on the back of a napkin, it's okay. But the more you take time to chart out what your main goals are for the day and what your plan is, the more determined you'll be. As we've been traveling, we're going to various places, and for me it really helps. I always ask, please give me a printed list of everything we have to do today so I know what we're doing. Once I have that, I can refer to it and I immediately feel more peaceful and more focused and more determined because I know here's what I have to be ready for the day. If I don't have that, it comes as a big surprise. Like, you're not ready yet? We're driving, another 2 hours somewhere else, and then I'm out of balance. So wherever we are, if we take the time to plan each day in advance, never greet the dawn without a map. When you get up, you should have a map ready to say, here's where I'm going to go. So that's number 4, narrow your choices, plan each day in advance. Number 5, compose and write your own constitution. You know what I mean by that? The United States has a constitution. You can go see it, the original document. It's in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. It's a big document. Took some time to compose by a group of people. They wrote down all the principles that they were going to follow and what the course of their life was going to be determined by. And then they posted it. And they said, this is what we're going to do. It's all written down. Precursor to that document was the Magna Carta. People lived in serfdom before the Magna Carta, and how did they come out of it? They decided what they were going to do next. And that was to have a more evenly balanced society where people had an opportunity for upward mobility, and they wrote it down in this document called the Magna Carta, right? Say yes. So each one of us, our lives are highly consequential, so we shouldn't waste them. We should have our own constitution. And once you write your constitution, you can post it on the wall and say, this is what I stand for. This is what I'm doing. When you have that, then you can be determined. If you don't have that, you can be pushed around by any other ideology because you haven't decided for yourself and you haven't written it down and you haven't committed to it. So write down what your main purposes in life are. Study the Magna Carta and look at the U.S. Constitution or whatever you haven't written, still following the Magna Carta or whatever it may be, that under any organization that has forward thrust, you're going to find that there's a written document that's very clearly in which are clearly stated the purposes. What other organization can you think of that has such a document? ISKCON has. Who wrote that? Srila Prabhupada wrote 7 purposes of ISKCON. They're well thought out. They're so tight that it covers everything in a few words, just 7 little things. And if you keep that clearly in mind, as Prabhupada did, this is what we're doing, then you'll have determination because you know I'm going from here to here. Part of determination is knowing where you're going. You have to be really clear where you're going. And then you'll have balance in your life. You want me to prove it?
Yes.
Okay, 3 people want me to prove it. Everybody else, you can't participate in this now because you didn't say yes. Okay, those who said yes, please stand up. All in the front row. I wonder how that works. Okay. All right, you can all stand up, but careful. Stand up carefully. And I want you to try something, which I'm going to do myself. No, yeah, thanks. Careful, but just stand on one foot now and stay balanced. Don't hold on, just, how are you doing? Are you twitching? Mm-hmm. But you're holding on. Don't hold, just stay, look like this. It's hard, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's nothing. Switch to the other foot. Now balance, be careful, close your eyes. How did you do the second time? Try it again. Maybe it was just a fluke that you fell over.
It's worse.
Which was harder?
Second one.
Why? You had no frame of reference. We stay balanced by frame of reference. We have to see where we're going. When you write your constitution, you say, this is where I'm going, then you'll be determined. Determined means you have to finish what you started. It's terminus. You have to go to the end. If someone says, do as many push-ups as you can right now, shall we try that?
No.
You don't want to do that? What if I said, do 1 push-up? Everybody do one. Could you do that?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to have a clear beginning and ending point to be determined. A terminus, a terminal. You have to start and you have to know where you're finishing. If you just say it's unlimited or anything goes, then you won't be determined. So you have to have vision, write your constitution, know what you're going to do during the day and during your life, be very clear on it, and now you'll be in balance. And you'll learn. You can learn to stand on one foot and balance for a long time. You can even learn to do it with your eyes closed, but it takes a lot of practice. So give yourself the advantage of being very clear about where you're going. Write your personal constitution. That's number 5. Ready for number 6?
Yes.
Okay, we're learning. It's good to say yes. Okay, strengthen the bonds that free you. Does that sound contradictory?
No.
Say yes.
Yes.
It does sound contradictory, but it happens to be the tagline for the Grihastha Vision Team. And it's also what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Raga dvesha vimuktaistu vishan indrayashcharan atmavashyara bhateyapa prasadam adhigashati. He says, follow the regulative principles of freedom. That sounds contradictory too. It's like in the 60s, people used to say, feels good, do it. Why should I be restrained by any person regulating my activities? But that doesn't work, because when you give yourself up to whim or the urges of your senses, you end up more and more bound by the modes of material nature. So Krishna teaches us there is an authoritative process, and if you follow it strictly, you bind yourself to it, then you become freer. It is paradoxical. And so learn how to follow the 4 regulative principles very strictly. Control your tongue. The more you control your tongue, the freer you are. Some people might say, I'll say whatever I want, but then you'll become more and more implicated in the world. For instance, if you only eat prasadam, then you'll be freer in your life because your consciousness will be purified by eating prasadam. And if you control your speech and you make your speech impeccable, that comes from Latin, impecere, which means sinless. When your speech is sinless and you take prasad only, you only allow your tongue these things. This is someone would say, that's pretty austere, right?
Yes.
The more austere you are with your tongue, the freer you become. So this is strengthening the bonds that free you. And when you attend to these authorized processes that are recommended by Krishna and Guru and Sadhu, Shastra, then you become more and more free to achieve what's most important in your life, otherwise known as being determined. And your senses can't stop you. Other people can't stop you because you're not enslaved by others, because you have your own self-control. Number 7, create a list of your own personal values and follow them. For instance, if you have very specific values in your life, let me suggest 1 or 2 and see what you think of them. Here's a value: I don't talk behind other people's backs. If you've ever been in a situation where a conversation gets a little heated up, heated is too much, maybe it's starting to warm up and people are thinking about enjoying the juicy aspects of gossip, which tend to be about somebody else, at somebody else's expense, and you realize the person you're about to discuss is nowhere near the room. They're not even in the same state. They're somewhere else. If you had this value, then you would say, okay, I'm not going to discuss this because the person's not present. How do you think that would affect your life and your determination? Positively or negatively?
Positively.
Yeah, it would. And another aspect of creating personal values is to resolve that you always tell the truth, even if it doesn't seem to favor you at the time. Have you ever been in a situation where, say your spouse asks you, did you eat the last cookie? And you thought, well, you know, the pet's over there in the corner. Everybody knows who likes cookies. Could just blame it on the pet. But then you said, no, I ate it. I'm a slob, I know. If you say the pet ate it, and then your spouse does a forensic study and finds no cookie crumbs on the whiskers of your pet, then you've lost credibility. And these are important as far as determination goes, because when we practice to deceive, then we get caught up ourselves in mental speculation and trying to cover for the things that we've said before that weren't true, and we lose our focus, and then we can't remain determined. This is also there in the Yoga Sutras. There's yam, niyam. There's ways in which you have to prepare your mind in order to be focused, in order to be determined. And all of those have to do with your lifestyle. And one of the main ones is to be truthful. And Krishna says it in the Bhagavad Gita also. So could you make a list of those types of values that you have, that you would like to observe, that will guide you? Can you think of any other values you would put on an ideal list that you would like to see in yourself? To be clean. Yeah, that's a value, to be clean. Yes. To forgive. Learn how to forgive people even simultaneously. Doesn't mean you don't do due diligence if somebody's a bully or they took advantage of you in some way or another, but you have to learn how to let it go and forgive, give up grudges. More values that you'd like to add to the list. Yes? To be of service. That's a value. Yes? Yes. What? Yeah. Try to learn how to overcome anger, because anger is Rudra. It can burn you and burn everybody else. Yes?
To be honest?
To be honest, yes. That's one of the most important ones. Nice one.
Treat people like you've been treated.
Treat people like you'd like to be treated yourself. What if you had a list like this in your pocket and you looked at it regularly? How would you interact with the world? And these are elements that are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says at the end of the 12th chapter, and you can review those last 5 verses in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and see where Krishna talks about how to be equipoised. Whether if somebody becomes your enemy, he says, don't become their enemy. Learn how to work around unusual situations and so forth. So what if you had a focus on these things and you employed them in your life? Well, what would happen would be, you'd be cleared to focus on what's most important, and you'll be more determined. So 7 is create your personal values list. What is number 7? Okay, very good. We have good students up here. Okay, number 8, realign your actions regularly. So you have all these things. You take some time to think about them, but then go back and realign yourself, because all good intended works end up going off track sooner or later. Look at Bhagavad Gita. Why was Krishna speaking it? Because he said it before and then everyone forgot. And he's saying, I'm re-speaking it now because it's been lost. And he tells Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, everything gets lost in due course of time. To stay determined and stay on track and finish what you started, which is this lifetime in devotional service, go back and review it regularly and see, what are my values? Why am I doing this? You have the whole list that you can go back and review and see, how am I doing on this? And even if you're doing poorly, you can then make incremental improvements to what you're doing because you become aware of it on a regular basis. So that's number 8, realign. Just use that one word. Realign. Correct. Number 9, keep asking yourself, again and again, what's the best investment of my attention right now? Because it's easy enough to become overwhelmed by circumstances. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Because everyone has a lot of responsibilities to tend to, right?
Yes.
So how will I avoid being overwhelmed by all the responsibilities or fulfilling the expectations that I feel people have on me or I have for myself? What can you do about it? And how can you remain determined, even in the midst of this maelstrom of urges and prompts that are coming from your mind saying, you didn't do enough? That's a question for you. How can you stay focused? The answer is what I just said, so you can just repeat it. Ask yourself again and again, what's the best investment of my attention right now? Because all you can do is work with whatever you can do in this very moment. I find this very helpful myself because I often feel swamped by various options about what to do next and a feeling of I'll never catch up and it won't be enough even if I do it. Therefore, what happens then? Lose my determination. I think, oh, I won't do anything. Let me see if I can reconnect that cord that I just cut. You end up with some wire. Try to put the wires back together so you can plug the thing back in again. Whatever distraction you have, like, let me just go back to a life of mindless existence and be distracted by something. But if I say, ask myself, what's the best investment? Word is carefully chosen because we're investing our attention somewhere, right? What's the best investment of my attention right now, right this second? Ask the question out loud. And what's the answer? I'm hoping you say, listen to this class. All right, thanks. You're just trying to make me feel better. All right. But at any given moment, you can ask yourself that question because the mind produces a storm. And in that storm, we may feel overwhelmed. We may lose our determination. So you have to keep coming back to the present moment. And the question has a hook on it. It pulls you back into the present moment. What's the best investment of my attention right now? Because where attention goes, energy flows. And if you know that principle, don't feel overwhelmed. Just to attend to what you can do right in this moment by asking yourself that question. And you can remain determined. Remember this also. Do what you can with what you have right now. Don't wait for everything else to come into place. There's never a perfect time to do anything. But do what you can with whatever you have right this moment. Ready for number 10?
Yes.
Okay, 3 people. Everybody else cover your ears. This is another homework activity. I've given you a lot of homework, right? Okay. Write a priorities list. It's invaluable for your life. We had a values list. We had a constitution. This is writing a priorities list. And how would you do this? Here's what I recommend. Schedule a time, at least an hour, better an hour and a half or more. Get yourself a really big pad of paper. This is my notepad. I like it. It's called Bienfang. I think it's German. You can even do watercolors in this book if you want to. It's multi-purpose paper. It's big, right? It's a big notebook. It's bigger than a smartphone. I can put a lot of stuff in here. I also like legal pads. It has a psychological advantage because it's not 8.5 by 11. It's got that extra, apparently attorneys have to write a lot. And if you get a large pad, so you're not constrained, a pen fits in your hand. Pens are important because as you write with your hand, First of all, if you write on a high-tech device, you're going to get distracted one way or another. Something's going to pop up on the screen and you're going to go and you lose the benefit of this exercise. Get a pen. I recommend Pentel. Hi, I'm Vaisesika Dasa, and I recommend Pentel. After a long day, I use Pentel. So get a pen that fits your hand, get a big pad of paper, and get a do not disturb sign. I have 2 or 3 of them in my luggage right now. And it's extremely valuable for your own well-being to get a do not disturb sign or 2 or 3 and use it. When you need time to internalize everything and decide what you're going to do with your life, you need to shut out everything else. And for your family or your pets, get one in pet language. You put it wherever you need to, so that you can close the door and everyone knows this is the time that I'm in there working on myself and I need time by myself. And just think what's most important to me and start writing it all down. Don't worry about the order. Order's not important at first. Write down all your priorities. What's most important to you in your life? And once you write an exhaustive list, and don't judge it, just put it down. Don't think, oh, I want to sound like a pure devotee. Nobody's going to read it but you. Then go back and start reordering it and start nudging up those things that you think are most consequential, most important to you in your life. Humble suggestion. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj wants to know, what are my duties at the time of death? And Shukadeva Goswami says, be ready to remember Krishna at the time of death. If you put that somewhere at or near the top of your list, there's a powerful effect because you keep the end in mind. That this life's going to be over sometime pretty soon. And I have to be ready, so what would I do to get ready for that last moment? That could be a priority that's way at the top of your list. Also, developing Krishna Prema. What does it take to go through the process of anartha nivritti? And what would it feel like if I came to ruchi? Or what about asakti? What about when the heart starts to melt and I get bhava? What would it be like to be a full-fledged pure devotee? What if you put that as a priority at the top of your list? Would it inform your activities in your life? And would it give you determination that you know what you're going for? So once you make this list, another one I added is, I always remember Krishna, I never forget Krishna. I also recommend putting them in the present tense, as if you've already achieved them. Once you have this list, you'll start thinking about it. You might discuss it with somebody who's intimate with you and say, here's what I think is most important in my life. And then you'll notice that people might want to help you with that. Oh, and then you'll start realizing that I have an unusual set of priorities in my life compared to most other people in my life. They're not even thinking about death, are they? Not that much, but maybe it's stuffed somewhere, but they don't know what to do about it. We do. So once you have this priority list, you can look at it from time to time and it will realign you with what you think you should be doing. For instance, let's say if your priority is to make $1 million, pounds. And so what do? You handle anything that has to do with money first. A person whose priority, and then you have a philosophy where you make sure everything's invested and you're not wasting anything anywhere. Even a 0.25% will add to exponential growth, right? Say yes. Yes. So same way, when you have priority, I want to be ready for death. I want to be prepared for that last moment. What if you're thinking on your priority list and it doesn't mean you become neurotic? On the contrary, you become much more effective in your life. People who stuff the idea that I'm going to die, they're living in a dreamland. And when death comes, and I love this post that just came from Keshava Maharaj. He wrote it on one of his posts. He said, somebody dies and everyone's surprised. What's the lesson? Duh. We're all dying here. And it can happen at any second, and everyone's like, what happened? So preempt that process by making these priorities. And there are many other things. Like, for instance, let's say relationship with family is extremely important. So what if you move that further to the top of the list, and then you start thinking about, my relationship with my family is so important because, I mean, I love them, they love me, but how often do I show it? Once a year? Every decade? Never? If I move it to the top, then I feel free that, yeah, let me show my appreciation to my family members. What about taking time for the kids? Whatever it may be, put it on your list. You're tatastha. You're free as a human being to make decisions. And if you do that, and you put all these pieces together, and the 10 on this list, you become determined. And you'll have a sense of clarity, and you'll also have a sense that you're fulfilling your purpose in life, and that incrementally reduces the cognitive dissonance that is inevitable in a life that's not being fully utilized. I'm going to end on that sentence because I like the last sentence. Om Tat Sat. Now we'll take any reflections or questions that you think will expand the conversation or help to clarify things. Yes, Nirakula.
When we were talking about distractions, I think you said, we'll just get rid of them. And a couple of them that were brought up can't be just got rid of. Like, you can't get rid of work. You have to work. Most of us are dependent on a phone. So eating can be a distraction. So many things can be a distraction that you can't get rid of. So how do you go about?
Well, thank you for asking that question, Nirakula. Yes, absolutely. When I said cut the cord, though, I think that's a good idea still. Nirakula concurs. She said you don't need a TV. Do cut the cord, though. Surprise everybody and see, excluding yourself, see what happens. But unplug it first. Yes. Okay. Let's say you have a smartphone or a TV. Years and years ago, there used to be a guide to television called the TV Guide. You have to be as old as me to know what that means. It was a little book, paper book that came out once a week that told whatever's going to be on television and gave a summary of what it was. And I once read somewhere regarding television, which has been an albatross for years. There have been books written about it, about how the advent of TV ruined society, what to speak of the smartphone. And it's because of random use, and especially with the introduction of the remote control. People tend to watch it as a complete distraction. And those who have done brainwave studies of people watching TV have noted that the brainwaves look very similar to comatose condition in human beings. And what was the prevailing advice by those who understood that people would keep their television and there might be some possible use for it? It said, go through your TV guide and underline everything that you have to watch in order to reach your goals in life. And that way, you might find like one or two things that you could justify. And then you'd circle it and say, okay, it's on 8:30. And it's not like you come and throw yourself down on the couch and you find yourself 8 hours later, still with the TV going, you're asleep, and there's somehow or other an empty half-gallon of ice cream and a spoon right next to you. Because eating and television tend to go together. But you decided, I'm going to watch this for a reason, then it's not random. And it's the same thing with a smartphone, but it's much harder. Because it's kind of like the smartphone is like crack cocaine. It's so addictive that people take one puff and then they can never put it down. And so we have to be as discriminatory as possible and say, you know, how would I use it properly? We were just discussing it with, I think it was Sudhir Madhav was telling us that some brahmacharis, they use an old push phone because that way there's no distraction. You don't get pulled off into some other place, you just use it to call people. But some people, they run a whole business on their phone, or they run the whole schedule or something like that. So same advice as from bygone ages when television was the primary distraction, which is decide what you're going to watch ahead of time so you're not a slave to the deliberate programming that's there that tries to pull you into the next thing. Nowadays, it's so sophisticated because people who produce shows have psychological advantage. For instance, the movies that now come out from Apple and Netflix, they've devised them so they're always a cliffhanger. They never end. There's no conclusion. In the old days, like if you watched a movie like It's a Wonderful Life, one of my favorite movies ever. Have you ever seen it? Yeah. It's a Christmas time favorite. And you know, there's an end to it all, and there's a lesson to it. There's a moral to the story. And it's over, and you can go, okay, fine, that's good, that's over. Nowadays, what's produced, it's always a cliffhanger. It's like, you've got to watch the next one. It's just like drugs for the mind. So don't be random, don't be caught up, deliberately figure out what to do. As far as work goes, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, it needn't be a distraction, it can be your devotional service. He says, whatever work you've been apportioned, this is in the 18th chapter of the Gita, Prabhupada says, if you have a particular kind of work, like working in a factory or whatever it may be, you should consider this is the work given to me by Krishna. And then if you want to nail that down, so to speak, give a portion of your income that you earn from the work to Krishna. And when you do that, then you'll feel well adjusted that you're going, I have to work, I have to pay my rent, but a portion of this is going to Krishna, and I also consider this is the work apportioned to me by the Lord, so I'm doing it. And in all ways, we should be integrated in our life. Nirkula makes a good point, that it's not that we just walk away from our responsibilities. No, it's a holistic process. Everything that we do, when it's connected to Krishna, becomes a source of inspiration. But there are certain kinds of activities that we may be doing in conjunction with those things that we can prune or that we can eliminate altogether, and we'll see the world in a new light. A new opportunity will open up to us. Freed time, freed energy, that all comes from being discriminatory. Okay, there was a couple more. At least there was a second ago. Or maybe I imagined it. Yes, Prayag Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for that wonderful class. Some really, really practical tips for us to take away and reflect on. There was two that I was a little bit confused about, the Constitution and the list of values. And I kind of see that there's a lot of overlap between them. So could you help me distinguish what are what's the unique things about both lists? Thank you.
One's more specific, the values, and the Constitution is overarching, gives you more of a sense of what your main purposes are in life. Think of the 7 purposes of ISKCON as a kind of a constitution that Prabhupada wrote. And then the values are individual ways in which you want to apply yourself in your life, or that you want to rise up and meet. So all of these have overlap, but when you do them with specific focus, specifically on values like truthfulness and cleanliness and so forth that we mentioned, they may be more detailed than what's in your overall constitution. Same with priorities. And they could all add to the constitution as well. Because you could do all those things separately and then say, like, give overarching statements in your constitution that in which those other values and priorities are subsumed. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Was there another one? Yes, Gopal Rai. sorry, Vaisesika Roy. The Roy family.
But it's an honour to be confused with him. He's an exemplary devotee. Hare Krishna, and thank you for your class. All of the things that you shared, I think, are really attractive, and I feel excited to do them, to mould my life and plan my life and prioritise. But I feel like I've got so many things to do that I don't have time to do all these things, even though there's a part of me that understands that this is the right approach to do these things first. So have you got any advice to curb that restless mind of mine that says, let's just go full force and do everything without thinking?
Pray for another pandemic. I did a lot of mine during the pandemic. I was like, oh well, we're all going to die anyway, so I might as well do this now. So it's a matter of prioritization based on sharpening the axe. The story of the man trying to cut down a tree, and an experienced axe wielder walks by and says, oh, excuse me, by the way, that's going to take you a few days to do that by hand unless you sharpen that thing. And then as the man, the advisor, the passerby moves on, the man sort of utters under his breath, yeah, I don't have time, sorry. And so if we consider the implications, someone says, there's gold up in that hill there, you can go dig it out. And then the guy says, do you know how much they want for shovels these days? I mean, it's astronomical. I'm not paying that price for shovels. There's a tariff on them, and I'm not going to pay for that. But there's gold there. So we have to motivate ourselves to understand, first of all, how much we suffer from not having clarity in our lives, and how much freedom we experience when we're more specific about what we do. Start off also any task that seems overwhelming with the simplest thing. Don't try to do all this. Try to do one little part of it. Let's look at the list and see where you could get started. Tell you what I'm going to do for you here. Work from your natural strength. Choose deliberate practice over luck. Avoid distractions. I would say just start with number 3, and back of a napkin. You know, when you sit down for lunch and it's taken them extra 5 minutes to bring out the chickpeas, just pull out your pen and write on the back of the napkin, maybe not an Indian napkin because it'll fall apart. Bring your own paper. And just write down, like, what things would I like to avoid? You don't have to make an absolute vow at that point, no fire yagya necessary. Just think about it and just say, here's 3 things I'd like to avoid doing. Take on my do not fly list. So you could do that and just sort of get a little momentum to avoid some distractions. And then I'd say the other thing is just start monkeying around with a priority list. It's a lot of fun, actually, because you start realizing your own free will. And you put things on the paper, and then you think, you mean I could really do this? You mean I have freedom to choose what I want to do? I'm not locked into whatever has been my fate so far. I can actually make choices. What if I wanted to switch my priorities in life? Who could stop me? That's a very empowering and exciting thing to do. So my advice is start with the smallest little part that you can do. Don't overcommit to it and think that it's going to interrupt anything. It's more just bringing your attention to your free will, and that you can decide which way you want to go, and maybe you want to go a different direction and improve some things. You can try it that way. Touch the pavement. Just touch the pavement. Don't try to boil the ocean. I got plenty of cliches, so I'll keep them coming for you. Okay, yes? Vaisesika, okay? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's very nice seeing you again.
Good to
Thank
see
you
you
very
too.
much. So today we talked about values, and when we're in Vrindavan, we talked about how we should respect devotees and Vaishnavas. So I have an aunt who calls me every night. She's 91 years old, and all she does is complain about other Vaishnavas and devotees. Now she's 91 years old. She's my mum's older sister. Mum's passed away. And I've tried to tell her in the most respectful way, this is not appropriate, but it's just her inclination. And I feel as if it's my call of duty to call her because she's lonely. And then I made myself understand that it's like a call of service. I should just tolerate. And I wanted to have some further advice on the matter.
Family is tough. And you do have to tolerate a lot with family. And it's part of our training in this life. You might want to think about next life. Let me land in a family of pure devotees. But even then you might have conflicts too. Because there's no utopia. It's the word I was looking for. Families are here today, gone tomorrow, and it's important to give as much love and care to your family members as possible when you have the chance. Because when they're gone, you'll think, oh, I could have done more. And tolerating somebody who's 91 years old, it's a loving act. It's part of love to just be there for them despite the fact that it's insufferable. And it won't last forever, but when it's done, you've done your duty to your family in a loving way, unconditional love, then Krishna will be pleased. He told Raghunath Bhatta to go back and take care of his aging parents. He didn't say, forget them, walk away, just to be a Babaji. He said, first take care of them, then you can come back and read Srimad Bhagavatam to me. So there's a case to be made for tolerating. And it sounds like you're doing what you can to intervene. But when you're 91 and you're used to it, Nirkula, do you have a point? I could tell. See how well we know each other? I just looked at her and I knew she had a point. It's uncanny.
If it's possible to just take more control of the conversation, fill it with reading Krishna book, something like that, that will benefit her and then won't put you in an awkward position of having to hear criticism of devotees. If there's something she likes, or bhajan, something Krishna conscious that feels, and if my mother was that way, and I just finally said, Mom, if we're going to talk, it has to be positive, it has to be more positive. And sometimes they're just not aware that that's the cycle that they're in. And and it got better. It got better with my mom then. And then, anyway, I won't say the other. And then there were times when I was on my cell phone and I just said, oops, sorry. Can't hear
you. We're breaking up.
But filling the time with something Krishna conscious really, really helps. Something.
It's funny because she's very devotional. Thank you very much. So she's a very devotional person. She's a very staunch Pushti Marg Vaishnav. So she wakes up in the morning, does her 3 hours of mantras and everything, and after that is done, then she starts phoning everybody. So I think now I have like another aunt in the US, in Canada, who's quite contrary. I do bhajans.
Canadians for you. Okay?
So with my other aunt, I do bhajans and kirtan and everything. I'm trying to persuade my other aunt to do the same now.
Maybe get a conference call going.
Yeah.
And I like what Nirkula said. Prabhupada did that when he was taking his walks on Venice Beach and Dr. Patel was coming along. It would always end up in some conflict. So Prabhupada had the devotees, like Giriraj Maharaj was always there on the walk, and he'd have them read Krishna book on the walk, walking along with the book. You can hear the recordings, because he wanted to fill that turbulent time that Dr. Patel, and they get into really strong mode of arguing back and forth, and then probably just read Krishna book. I like the conference call idea though. Let your other aunt, buffer, and then you two can start interjecting and talking positively about people. You know, the residents of Pulina Gram, year after year, they met Mahaprabhu after the Rath Yatra. And one person came and said, I'm a sinner because I've criticized devotees with this mouth, what should I do? And Mahaprabhu said that when you criticize devotees, it's like drinking poison. But he said there's an antidote. And the antidote is to praise them. And I find that in conversations where people are trending towards criticizing somebody, if I just toss in there an accolade of that person, it really just ruins the conversation for the person. People look at, oh yeah, you're going to do that? You're going to throw in something laudatory about the person? And then it's kind of like putting alum in water, and it just coagulates all the bad stuff and it goes off, and then you have some clarity. So those are a few thoughts. Thanks, Nirkul, that really helped. Okay, let's see if there's anything else, because we only have a few more minutes left, and we'll end with a bhajan after the next question or comment.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
A question. How do you stay determined when there is failure? So I found that when I failed, then I lose determination.
Well, it's an understanding of how any progress takes place. And I've found personally, since you asked about me personally, it sounded like, that I've learned most from the times that I've made mistakes and failed. For instance, in Vrindavan, I was there in 1975. Somehow I got coerced into doing the first artik after Prabhupada's artik. And I didn't really want to go on the altar because I hadn't had full training. Had a little training, but training was spotty as far as deity worship goes. And Prabhupada was going to be there. So I got on the altar in front of Radhe Shyam. Then there were two more. Besides, it was a simultaneous artik. I think it was the first one ever done in ISKCON with 3 people. And I fumbled a lot while I was doing it. And I felt so mortified that afterwards I got determined that I'm going to learn about deity worship. And that became an attitude of mine, that I'm going to fix this. And I once was chanting the Guru Puja in Los Angeles. I think Vijay said, sing. So I started singing, and I forgot one of the lines. And after that, it's like, okay, I'm going to go through this line by line and see what it means. And those points where we have failures, so-called failures, are where we can be more determined, and where we say, this is where I'm going to put my attention so that I'm strengthened in this area. When a bone breaks in your body, it's quite natural. It grows back 8 or 9 times stronger than it was before. It's a nature's thing. And a similar thing when we go through our lives and we have missteps, those become the markers for us to do better. And anyone who's achieved, like a community that you see is humming, it's going along nicely, you know they've been through lots of trials and they've taken the time to fix the relationships, and it takes a lot of effort to do that, to normalize and enhance interpersonal relationships between devotees and ourselves and others who we may have disagreement with. We have to apply all the elements of Krishna's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita. So the failure, Prabhupada said, may not be detrimental. It may become the pillar to success in your life. So we will fail according to our definition, but we can redefine what success is, and we can fix whatever things seem to have gone wrong, and we'll be stronger for it the next time. And please notice any successful person has gone through many tribulations and missteps in his or her life to get to where they are now. And now we're going to sing a bhajan, and which one we promised was Narada Muni, but only if Sachi's here. Otherwise it's canceled. Can you do cowbell? Narad Muni Bajai Vina Radhika Ramana Narad Muni Bhajai
127.
Radhika Ramanana. Narad Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramanana. Narad Muni Bhajai Namamani Udita Hoy Bhagata Kita Same Namamani Udita Hoy Bhagata Gita Same Narad Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramanana me. Narad Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramanana. Ami Adhara Vadishe Ganam Shavana Juga Legiya. Vakata Jana Sagane Nache Boriya Panahiya. Narad Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramanana me. Narad Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramanana. Madhuri Pura Asabo Pasi Mataya Jagat Jane. Keho Bakane, Keho Banache, Keho Mate Mane Mane. Now you gotta clap on this part. Narad Muni Bhajai Vina Karamanana me. Muni Bhajai, good. Karamanana. You're getting there. Panchavadana Narade Dori Kamera Sagana Ro. Kamala Sana Nachia Bole Bolo Bolo Hari Bolo. Narad Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramanana me. You sound great. Radhika Ramanana. Sahasranana Parama Sukhe Hari Hari Boli Gai. Nam Prabhave Matilo Vishra Nam Rasa Sabe Okay, get ready to clap now. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3. Narad Muni bajai vina radhika ramana name. One, two, one, two. Shri Krishna nam rasane spuri purolo amara asha. Shri Rupa Pade Jachai Habakati Vinoda Dasa. Okay, get ready again. Here we go. Narad Muni Bajai Vina Radhika Ramana Name. I'm going to read the translation. Keep it going. Just the beat. Just the beat. When the great soul Narada Muni plays his string veena, the holy name of Radhika Ramana descends and immediately appears amidst the kirtan of the Lord's devotees. Like a monsoon cloud, the holy name showers pure nectar into their ears. All the devotees, due to great ecstasy, enthusiastically dance to their heart's content. All the inhabitants of the universe become maddened upon entering these intoxicating showers of divine sweetness. Some people cry, some dance, and others become fully intoxicated within their minds. The five-faced Lord Shiva embraces Narada Muni and repeatedly makes loud screams of ecstatic joy, while Lord Brahma dances very enthusiastically and exclaims, "All of you chant, Haribol, Haribol!" In supreme happiness, the thousand-faced Ananta Shesha sings and calls out, "Hare, Hare!" By the influence of the transcendental vibration of that name, the whole universe becomes ecstatically maddened as everyone tastes and relishes the mellows of the holy name. The holy name of Krishna has fulfilled all my desires by thus manifesting on everyone's tongue. Bhakti Vinod, the humble servant of the Lord, therefore prays at the feet of Sri Rupa Goswami that the chanting of Harinam may always continue in this way. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much for having us over today. We were missing all of you. And we'll never forget all those times we had back in, remember? Vrindavan. Remember Jaipur? Remember Madan Mohan? Remember Karoli? We'll never forget it, right? We were in it together, and now we have new memories to make, and we're here. So it's really heartfelt. We have this time together. Hope you're getting some time to reflect on everything that you've seen, all the deities that you were able to pray to, and that it's becoming your bhava. Hare Krishna. Thanks for having us over, Divyanam Prabhu, and we'll look forward to seeing you all in London. If you don't see us until then, it's because we'll be hiding out somewhere. Need just a little time to catch up with a few things and some writing and doing my own reflecting. And Nirkul and I will be discussing what's next and using this next couple of days that we have here to be introspective. And doing these, we'll be doing our homework too. We'll compare notes in London. What do you think?
Yes.
Could you do some homework, really? And then maybe we compare notes in London, and that way it's really practical. That would be one of our things we could do there, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay,
We can organize something, a special program, invite you all, and we can do a follow-up session on this.
But don't tell me your dog ate your homework. Or the sun got in your eyes, whatever.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I think, how did you find today's session? I think, it's been a very practical session. I heard this session, I think in the initial days when we started to hear Maharaj, and both me and my wife found that to be very, very helpful. And I think it's so nice to revisit it again and again. And I thought this would be a nice, I wouldn't use the word ending, but a nice way to kind of, we are getting closer to, for this retreat to conclude. And I thought it would be great to go back on some of the things we have done together and apply some of the principles, well, at least, if not all, some of the principles from what we heard today. I think it was a very helpful talk, Maharaj. And we really want to thank you and Guruma for being with us. I think it's every year when you are with us, it just takes the retreat to the next level. And concluding here in Govardhan Eco Village has been really nice. The devotees had a lot of time today, over the last few days to reflect. We have a couple more to go. So I just want to very quickly take the opportunity to share some reminders. But before I want to share that, I just wanted to mention that this is the second book Maharaj has written called The 4 Questions, A Pathway to Inner Peace. I recently delivered a little seminar to some people in my business, and it went down really well. It was based on these 4 questions. And I read this book twice now, and I found it every time I read it, I find it so helpful. It covers these 4 questions. What is my purpose? Many of those concepts or some important points Maharaj covered today are also in this book. How may I be of service? At the back, I think Anagasuri Prabhu talked about the principle when Maharaj was asking a question that how, seva. What is the lesson is the 3rd question, and where am I investing my attention right now? I think we talked about it quite a lot today. A very practical book which you can take. It's available. Maharaj has a very tight schedule, but we will request him at least if he can just autograph as you take it today. We have these books available. So it's on offer. If you have INR, it's only 500 rupees, or you can give £5 since most of you are from England. So you can take this book. It's a BBD book. Both the books Maharaj has written are Family Business and the 4 Questions. They're both BBD books. So please take it. You will really, really treasure it. I think Manisha Mataji, you read it and she found it very helpful. She gifted to somebody on a plane who had a cancer. And I think, and in UK, we printed 20,000 copies, and within 9 months, they were all distributed. So it's a book which is really going very, very fast and becoming very popular. So don't leave this opportunity. I would even say if you have 2 days, it's a book, once you start reading, you can't put it down. So you can get it through, or if not, when you're flying back, you can read it on the plane. So please feel free to come. Myself, my wife, and few of us will be here. You can collect a copy and Maharaj can sign. These are some announcements, quick announcements for today. At 4 o'clock, we have the sound experience. For those of you who have not attended, who would like to attend the 4 o'clock session? Please have your hands up. If you have all attended, okay, we have Prayag, Prabhu, Yash. Who else would attend the 4 o'clock session? Boys, you want to attend? Sridham and Vishwambar? Come on, okay, all right, so we got 3. Who else would attend the session? Okay, well, we have many of you have attended, but the session we need minimum 9 people, so please see us and we can have you. No. Sorry. And then we have our tour at 4 o'clock for Vrindavan Forest. If anyone has not attended the tour, we will be starting from Mahavan building at 4 o'clock. Please be available. Just want to have a show of hands to make sure we have enough devotees for the tour. Okay, there are plenty. Okay, great. 4 o'clock, we'll meet you at there. And then at 5:15, we finish the tour and meet at Radha Govind Temple, where we've been having our sessions in the evening, where we are reading a chapter of Bhagavad Gita and also a round of introduction of how you came to Krishna consciousness. Are you liking those sessions, by the way? Okay, great. So we'll have that continuation of that 5:15 to 6 o'clock. And 6 o'clock, we will be going for the Aartis at Giriraj Aarti, Yamuna Aarti, and then Damodar Astakam. And tonight, we've been mentioned, Shampriya Mataji mentioned to me that, was it Grace Mataji who mentioned, who's here, about the Hare Krishna movie. So how many of you have not seen the shorter version, 45 minutes of Hare Krishna movie? Okay, many of you. So we'll play that tonight at 8 o'clock from 8 to 8:45 here. So please come and watch the movie. And we'll play it in this auditorium before you take rest tonight. And at last, I think I just wanted to mention that today we have two birthdays. We have Jamie Mataji and also Jai Radhika Mataji, whose birthday is today. So we request Maharaj to make a prayer for both these devotees in concluding. And Guru Maharaj has, and Mother Nirokala has some nice gifts to give you out. These gifts are very powerful. Every time I come, I get one. I have 3 in my hand right now. One says Nachre Amar One, the other one says Live to Give, and the other one says Join the Surge. It's a nice way to remember things when we are on a trip, or when you want to recite certain verses, or you want to have a goal in the life. These things remind you. And today what you're going to get, I think if I can see it, it says books are the basis. Is that the one, Prabhu? Yes. So that's one of our slogan in ISKCON, International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Prabhupada has given us these books, and they form the basis. Purity is the force, as Prabhupada said. So please collect these gifts from Maharaj. And when you take your book, Maharaj will also give you an autograph on the book. Does anybody have any questions about today's schedule? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Madananda. So,
Hare Krishna. So who here has enjoyed their retreat program? And who here thinks it was really easy to organize? And who here is very much appreciative to those people who have organized this very nice yatra? So I'm standing here, but I'm representing all the devotees that have been on this yatra, and we would like to express a very, very small token of our appreciation for all the hard work that Divyanam and his dear wife have done, and many other helpers, but this is particularly to him. And it's offered with much appreciation from all the devotees to you, and may you have a long, happy life full of many more yatras that we all can come on. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you so much, Madananda. Thank you. And I think this yatra made it even more sweeter, having you all the way from Jaipur join us and then into Vrindavan. Hearing how you came to Krishna consciousness was so special. Devotees were so moved by your story.
Change the subject.
All right. Thank you. So, well, thank you, Landini Prema Mataji, and for organizing all of you this wonderful gift. We are absolutely grateful for having this opportunity to organize a couple of these yatras every year, and also to our spiritual master who allows us to help with the youth retreat, which we are about to do. So as soon as we get back home, we'll be preparing for another one in December, where we are going South India this year, and back in February again in India. So Maharaj, I think it was nice. Keshav Gokulanand Prabhu was sharing a reflection at the end of the yatra in Vrindavan, and he was mentioning about how we have to go back to the life. And Maharaj said, that's the abnormal life. This is a normal life. So that's really stuck with me. That and we have the privilege, and hopefully, we could be so much traveling to Dham. But more importantly, is to carry that consciousness back to West and share it with the people. So tomorrow we'll have a program where we would like to share a bit more, but I just wanted to make a final announcement. Damodar Bandhu Prabhu is now going to put it onto the group. The seminar we are doing on the next weekend, I say next weekend, we are going to be in London in a few days. on the 8th and the 9th of November. It's called Live to Give seminar. So please book your seats now. We have still few seats left. We especially for all of you, and attend that seminar over the 2 days where you'll really get an in-depth understanding and appreciation of what Prabhupada has given us and what our parampara has given us, and how by taking that or having the access to that knowledge, we can now become an instrument and share it with others. That's why the seminar is called Live to Give. It's worth it, even if you're living in Leicester or any other part of UK. Come for that seminar, stay over. We have a nice hotel near to the temple, and prasadam and everything will be taken care of. So please come for that seminar for 2 days and you will absolutely enjoy it. So Prabhu, will you just put it onto the group now, and the devotees can register for that seminar. So yeah, thank you once again, Mother Nirakula and Guru Maharaj for making this retreat so beautiful for all of us and very memorable. It gets better and better every year, but that's not because of what we do, it's because of all of your presence and all of you who come to the yatra. Hare Krishna. Would you please make a prayer for these two devotees? Can we have these two devotees stand up, unless they've already left the room? Okay. Jamie Mataji probably has an appointment, but yeah, that's Jai Radhika Mataji. Thank you very much.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, if you so desire, please bless Jamie Mataji and Jai Radhika Mataji. They'll always have an intense attraction to hearing Srila Prabhupada's books, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Sri Upanishad, On the Way to Krishna. And may they always be eager to chant the holy names in the association of devotees. They always have good internal and external health. May they be a pleasure to all their friends by encouraging them to execute their prime goal of life, which is to become Krishna conscious. May all of their relatives, 21 generations forwards and backwards, be purified by the fragrance of their devotional service. May they excel in services to the community in London or wherever else they live. They always have a group of friends that they can confide in so that they can share their innermost realizations and anxieties and assuage any sense of fear or anxiety they have in their lives. And they always have good prasadam wherever they go. The best of prasadam that's healthy and enlivening to their senses. They always get to go on pilgrimage to the holy dhams, and as many times as they wish. May they be empowered to do services like book distribution, deity worship, and giving classes. And may they have the best of association from sadhus and the wherewithal to take advantage of it. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this. Thank you for considering our request. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jamie Mataji just walked in. Happy birthday, Mataji. I hope you heard that beautiful prayer Maharaj did for both of you. One last thing, I do apologize, I forgot. I wanted to acknowledge a dear friend of mine who's here. His name is Amit. He comes from a KIR background similar to mine, but the only difference is I work there and he owns few of them. But the reason I want to acknowledge him is that he's someone very, very close to my heart. We've known for years. I went for a job interview with him many years ago. But although the job didn't quite work out mutually for both of us, but our relationships striked in such a way that somehow or other we have been in touch together. And I just wanted to say that it's a real honor to have you, Amit, and thank you for being with us on the retreat. Thank you so much. Thank you. Would you like to say something, few words on today's topic?
Hello everyone, Hare Krishna. Actually, it was Divyanam Prabhu who actually, that's the reason I'm standing here today. He contacted me during COVID. So I'm going to share, you know, in the afternoons you ask everyone why you're part of Krishna consciousness. So he contacted me during COVID and said, we're running Zoom classes. Would you like to join? And so that was the beginning of my journey into KC. The attraction of all the devotees the energy that I felt just online was so inspiring. It was just magnetic. And although my parents used to take me to the manor when I was a child, then there was a long break when I didn't go for a long time for a variety of reasons. And it was only recently, in the last 5 years since COVID, that my interest has reignited. You know, although my practice is not consistent, every time I'm here, I feel the vibrations and the energy. So thank you very much, Prabhu. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Okay, great. Please come over. Feel free to pick a book and collect your gifts from Mother Nirkula and Maharaj. Hare Krishna, everybody.
May I give back the mic?
Just signature, yeah, because you won't be. Yeah, please take it. Yeah, you can get it signed.
Does Maharaj have a pen?
Yeah.
Do you want me to write mine? It's fine. He's just signing, so no need. I think he has a pen. Has he a pen? ज़्यादा हो गई है।
You can collect the gift from Mother Nirkula and Maharaj can sign.
I don't have pounds with me. That's fine. Will he sign it for us? He has a pen. He's got a pen? He's got a pen. Mom, lunch is okay. Thank you.